If one Spotify privacy switch fails, you used the wrong one. Spotify private listening is not one magic privacy button. It is a set of different controls for different visibility problems. One control hides what you are playing right now. Another controls whether followers can see your listening activity. Another changes playlist access. Another affects what appears on your profile. And another, when available, can reduce how temporary songs shape recommendations. The safe rule from the article is simple. Use Spotify privacy controls for Spotify activity. Use Melogen only later, when the source is already a normal local audio file you own, created, purchased, DRM-free, licensed, or otherwise have permission to edit. Start by naming the thing you want to hide. If you want to hide what you are playing right now, check Private Session. Spotify's private listening support page says private session pauses listening activity, and it is available on mobile, tablet, and desktop apps. Use it for a temporary window, previewing music you do not want followers to see, playing sleep sounds or practice tracks, using music in a shared room, or quickly hiding a session without changing playlists or profile settings. Private session is temporary. It is not the same as making a playlist private. It is also not a file tool. It will not export, download, convert, or clean up audio. It is a Spotify visibility setting for a Spotify listening session. If you generally do not want friends to see what you play, check listening activity instead of toggling private session every time. Spotify's listening activity support page says this feature shows what friends are listening to and that you can enable or disable your own activity. The article calls out two details that matter. Listening activity settings apply across your devices, and when private session is on, listening activity is automatically disabled for 6 hours. So the decision is practical. For one hidden listening window, use private session. For long-term follower privacy, turn listening activity off. For a playlist that should not be public, use playlist privacy. For temporary songs that should not shape recommendations, check taste profile exclusion when it is available. Playlist privacy is its own layer. Spotify's playlist privacy and access support page says new playlists are public by default. It also says that when you make a playlist private, nobody can access it, even if they have a link or search for it by name. Use playlist privacy when the object you care about is the playlist itself. Open the playlist, open the More Options menu, choose Make Private, and use Make Public later if the playlist should be visible again. There is one nuance. Spotify says you can share a private playlist link with selected people, and shared links can expire after 7 days. That is different from publishing the playlist publicly. A private shared link and a public playlist are not the same visibility state. Your profile and recommendations have separate controls too. Spotify says recently played artists are visible by default to anyone who taps your profile, and you can disable that setting. Taste profile is another layer. Spotify describes Taste profile as a personalization surface, and its newsroom update announced excluding tracks or playlists from Taste profile, so one-off listening has less influence on recommendations. Use that when sleep sounds. Kids songs, novelty playlists, or temporary reference material. Keep changing what Spotify recommends. If the setting is not visible, update the app, restart, and check mobile, desktop, or web before assuming the control is gone. Spotify can roll personalization controls out by account, region, device, and app version. Now, keep Spotify privacy separate from local audio editing. Spotify privacy settings control a Spotify account experience. They do not turn subscription streams into files, and they do not give you editing rights to music you do not own. If a guide tells you to download Spotify music for privacy, it is mixing account visibility with file extraction. Melogen becomes useful only after the source is already a permitted local file. That could be a recording you made, a rehearsal or lesson cue exported from your own project, a podcast intro, a field recording, a voice memo, a DRM-free purchase, a licensed sound file, or another local clip you have permission to edit. Use Melogen Music Trimmer when the job is file cleanup, not Spotify account privacy. You might trim silence from a rehearsal clip, keep a 20-second section for a phone alarm or practice loop, Add a short fade so a local clip does not stop abruptly. Export a smaller copy for a podcast queue or lesson file, or prepare a local clip before adding it back to a personal library. If that local file should live inside Spotify later, read the Add Local Files to Spotify workflow before importing it. If the issue is bedtime playback, the Spotify Sleep Timer Guide is more relevant. If transitions are the issue, use Spotify crossfade settings instead. The article keeps those lanes separate so a visibility problem does not become a risky file conversion problem. Troubleshooting follows the same rule. If friends still see what you play, private session may be off, listening activity may be enabled, or the private session may have expired. Turn on private session for a temporary window, or disable listening activity for a longer-term change. If a playlist is still visible, it may still be public or still published on your profile. Make the playlist private or remove public playlists from your profile. If a shared link works briefly, remember that private playlist sharing and public playlist publishing are different. If recommendations keep changing after one-off listening, use taste profile exclusion when available. If you cannot find a setting, check app version, device surface, account state, and rollout differences. The practical takeaway is simple. Spotify private listening is a visibility workflow. Use private session for a temporary listening window, listening activity for follower sharing, playlist privacy for playlist access, recently played artists for profile history, and taste profile exclusion when a temporary song should not shape recommendations. Use Melogen only after the source is already a local audio file you are allowed to edit. This is the official Melogen AI channel. Subscribe for practical music knowledge, safe local audio workflows, and better ways to use AI in music work. Melogen AI offers music tools and AI music models for musicians, educators, and creators. Visit melogenai.com to try Melogen with your own permitted local audio workflow.